The state television company Western Armenia represents the most important news for today. Good day. Today's broadcast. Our duty to the Armenian community is complete. Renault Muselier. Ankara cannot be mediator in the Armenian-azerbaijani negotiation. Mitath, Celikpalan. The strategy of Artsakh residents housing program encourages emigration. Artak, Beglaryan. The EBRD 33 annual meeting and business forum has ended. Today is the day of liberation of Berdzor. Assimilation, Re-assimilation and hamshenis. The Armenian church of Sivrihisar, a victim of vandalism. The president of the province Berdzor Regional Council, Renault Muselier, said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you are aware of my duty to Armenian community. We honor the memory of those who died during the 1915 genocide and strongly condemn the aggression suffered by Armenians in Artsakh. The southern region remembers. The southern region does not forget. The southern region acts in the interests of Armenians. Today we want to perpetuate those memories and strengthen them. For this reason, we intend to name the license of Renault Muselier in Nice in honor of Meline and Misak Manusyan. I myself supported this initiative of the mayor of Nice, delegate of the regional president Christian Estrosi, until it was realized. This is a fitting tribute to two heroes of our region's resistance from a community very dear to our hearts. Commemorating Meline and Misak Manusyan is a way to shine a light on those who fought in the shadows, who took up arms at the early age to resist Nazi barbarism and defend France and the Republic. At a time when our values are under attack in our own land, in Europe and around the world, we need more than ever to protect and preserve the sacrificial legacy. Rest assured that our commitment to the Armenian community is complete and will always remain so under any circumstance. Sincerely yours, Renault Muselier, President of the Province Alpes-Côte d'Azur Regional Council, Deputy President and Friends Regions. Kadir has a university professor Mitath Celikpalan expressed his opinion on the process of the Yerevan-Baku relation settlement to Turkish opposition newspaper Cumhuriyet. Celikpalan formulated his observation about the process by giving evaluations about the recent Mirzoyan Bayramov meeting in Almaty, Kazakhstan. The Turkish professor first presented the covered and non-covered aspects of the meeting, noted that the existing differences between the two countries were not resolved, and emphasized that the meeting was ineffective. According to Celikpalan, the meeting in Almaty did not differ in any way from the previous bilateral negotiations held with the mediation of Germany, because in both cases the meeting ended without the signing of the document, that is, without the signing of the peace treaty. In this context, he touched upon the possibility of Ankara's mediating role in the process of Yerevan-Baku relation, categorically excluding it. The Turkish professor explained the belief by the fact that the peace process is turning into a civil political process, which, however, Baku is trying to prevent and solve the problems through bilateral meetings with Yerevan. In addition, he emphasized that the signing of the agreement could be until the end of summer 2024, before the convening of the United Nations, the 29th session of the Conference of the Parties to the Framework Convention on Climate Change in Baku in November. Azerbaijan attaches importance to the holding of COP29 in Baku. I assume that they would not want there to be a big mess before the initiative or something that would upset the regional balance. Therefore, I think that if the negotiation process is a little longer, an agreement will be signed between the parties, the Turkish professor added. Yesterday, the plan to provide apartment to Artsakh residents adopted by the government of Eastern Armenia has a number of fundamental problems, says Artak Beglaryan, the former Minister of State of Artsakh. He points out some aspects in a post published on his Facebook page. The first, these and all other decisions were not adopted as a result of public discussion, but the project was developed and circulated secretly, violating both domestic legislation and international principles of inclusiveness and democracy. Under our public pressure, they simulated discussion with some groups for several days in March, but those meetings with individual Artsakh residents were far from inclusive. Moreover, the authorities also completely ignored the continuous willingness of the representative of the initiative to ensure the needs of the people of Artsakh to support the development of the project. The second, it is obvious that the government of Eastern Armenia makes decisions regarding the people of Artsakh without a strategy, and more precisely, there are a number of grounds to claim that the existing strategy is to promote emigration and close Artsakh's page once and for all. The program has fundamental problems in the terms of the chosen approaches, which will not solve either the issue of preserving the theme of the collective return of Artsakh people, the humanitarian problems of the majority of displaced persons, or the demographic problems of the Republic of Armenia. I will express my opinion in more detail in the coming days when I have managed to study and analyze the published materials more deeply, wrote Artak Beglaryan. On May 16, the 33rd Annual Meeting and Business Forum of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development continued in Yerevan. According to the Ministry of Finance, the third day of the conference started with the meeting of the Minister of Finance of Eastern Armenia, Hovhannisyan, with a delegation of the French Development Agency led by the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of France to Eastern Armenia, Olivier de Cotigny, and the Deputy Director General of the agency, Berdzor Valcunier. The parties discussed the current budget support loan agreement, prospects for the implementation of cooperation programs in the water, land and agriculture sectors, and other issues. At the end of the meeting, the 2024-2027 contract was signed. Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation. On the Armenian side, the memorandum was signed by the Minister of Finance of Eastern Armenia, Hovhannisyan, and on the part of the French Development Agency by Berdzor Valcunier, the Deputy General Director of Agency. Eastern Armenia Deputy Minister of Finance Eduard Hakopian held a meeting with the delegation of the International Development Fund of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Issues related to bilateral cooperation, particularly in the field of infrastructures, were discussed. Minister Hovhannisyan also met with the delegation of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. The parties discussed issues related to current cooperation between the two ministers. Minister Hovhannisyan highly appreciated the support of the Dutch government within the framework of the Global Privilege Fund, particularly aimed at solving the problems of forcibly displaced people from Nagorno-Artsakh. The Minister of Finance of the Netherlands, Steven van Wegenberg, for his part, praised the high-level organization of the EBRD annual conference. The Minister of Finance of Eastern Armenia then held a meeting with the delegation of the United States of America, led by the Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Treasury, Alexia Latorteo. The parties touched on cooperation in the field of state finance management, state procurement, and other issues, the message stated. On May 18, 1992, the Armenian army liberated the city of Berdzor, Lachin, of vital importance connecting Armenia to Artsakh, which at the time was the corridor of life for Artsakh. With the liberation of the city, liberation of the entire region, Kashatagh region also began. On May 14, the concentration of Armenian forces continued near the village of Zarazli, which is located between Shushi and Lachin. Dozens of armed units and a large number of living forces were concentrated here. The connection with Berdzor was broken. The hospital, the school, the building of the local government were destroyed there. On May 15, Armenian troops attacked the village of Gulalbu in Aghdam region, which is located on the hill. The Azerbaijan troops, having a numerical and positional advantage, pushed back the attack. On May 17, the Armenian forces pushed back the attack of Azerbaijan army in the direction of Churchi, in which around 1,000 soldiers participated. On May 18, Minister of Defense Vazgen Sargsyan announced that the road connecting Artsakh with Armenia was opened. In the second half of the day, the representative of the Ministry of Defense of Azerbaijan admitted the fall of Berdzor. However, on August 26, 2022, everything changed. Berdzor was occupied. If regionally it coincided with the birthday of the wife of the dictator of Baku, then the Turkish world, and especially for Turkey, this is a special day for another reason. On this very day in 1071, the Seljuk Turks defeated the Byzantine army, and the Armenian volunteers supported it in the Battle of Manaskirt, and after that settled in the Armenian highlands and Asia Minor. Only due to the Manaskirt's victory, the Turks were able to take over most of the Armenian highlands and create the first Turkish state in the region, the Sultanate of Ikonia, and the basis of which Ottoman Empire and then the Republic of Turkey were to be created. So Berdzor was surrendered on the very day when in 1071 the Turks were strengthened in Armenia for the first time. Western Armenia TV continues to present another remarkable article by Mahir Ozakalf, due to which we discovered the people of Hamshen in a new way. While economic, social, political, and religious struggles facilitate assimilation, the national struggle complicates it. In the case of struggle, outside the framework of the struggle for national demands, the inevitably developing relation with the majority people naturally become the reason for people to prioritize the demands of those struggles, and this gives rise to the fact that the representatives of the minority people disappear over time and are assimilated into the majority. However, we notice that the main part of the people fighting for the preservation of the identity of the people of hamshenis are people with left-wing political tradition. No matter how contradictory it may seem, in fact, this circumstance has a logical interpretation. It will not be wrong to emphasize that the fact that the Kurdish movement has brought the national issues to the agenda of the country and the left-wing current has ensured that the leftists and socialists from other nations also think and take a stand on the problems of their peoples. Therefore, it is true that the spheres of economic, social, political, and religious struggle accelerate assimilation. However, at the same time, it opens areas of struggle against it. When people under the threat of assimilation wage this struggle in the direction of their language and culture, it can have the exact opposite effect. As an example, the following fact can be cited. The struggle for ecology in the Black Sea region and their theme is at the same time the struggle to preserve the habitat of language and cultures. This associated from the language and culture of the people, the social struggles carried out entirely on the basis of the language and culture of the majority accelerate assimilation. However, if social struggles are waged in such a way that minority people can participate in them with their own identity, can express themselves, then such struggles will not serve assimilation. Unknown persons made notes on the walls of Holy Trinity Armenian Church in Sivrihisar province of Eskisehir and Hostess. This is reported by Agung.net. According to the source, the vandalism caused outrage as the church is one of the attractions for tourists visiting the province. During a certain period of the year, tourists arriving here from different provinces of occupied Western Armenia and abroad must also visit this Armenian historical church. The source also reported that unknown persons left their names on the walls of the historical structure with different colored pens and dug holes in the church. That attitude caused the indignation of both the local population and people who value history. Let's remind that the Holy Trinity Armenian Church of Sivrihisar was built in 1650. In 1876, due to the fire that broke out here, the church suffered great damage and was restored in 1881 during the region of Patriarch Nurses Varjabetyan. It is the second largest monastic complex in Western Armenia. The church was previously used as a manure storage. The Turkish authorities still in 1996 wanted to start restoration works in the church, but the renovation started later in 2010. This was all for today. I wish you good weekend. Goodbye.
Մանկությանս բակերում ավերակ Ես չունեմ ուրիշ ոչ մի տարբերակ Որ գալիք սերունդը ունենա խաղ Ես պիտի պահեմ քեզ իմ Արցախ Իմ Արցախն ես Ես մատա